To be able to do that, I'm going to use my account to access that material. So that you can see the content of that database. On the screen here, what we can see is that we can see in this section now EBMR, or Evidence-Based Medicine Reviews. This is a database which includes the Cochrane Library. So if you're interested in finding access to the Cochrane Library through Ovid, this is your method to be able to do that. The things that we can see here are a part of that collection, and this is all full-text material. What I can show you here is in those first few items, in those first 4, those are the active parts of Cochrane Library that we see through the page here. What I want to do is to take a few minutes then to explain the content here, and then we can look at the content and think about the differences that are a part of this material. This very first entry here, ACP Journal Club, is the journal club from the American College of Physicians, and this is also a part of Journals at Ovid. These are individual full-text items from the journal that the American College of Physicians publishes, and these are summaries of individual clinical trials. Often these are very early, so this is a really good part of the journal to access if you're interested in that type of topic. In a way, this is very similar to NEJM evidence because there is some similarity in the interests of this content. The first proper part of the Cochrane Library that you see here is the Cochrane Central Register of Controlled Trials. If I open that up for you, you can see that this is an Ovid database. Here it is. You can use basic search or advanced as we did before. But what this contains is it contains the records from clinical trials. The records from clinical trials are gathered up from lots of different places. And we can see these places listed in this area of the screen. Many of them come from Medline, which you already have access to, also from Embase, and also from CINAHL. You don't have access to Embase through Ovid, so these may be additional to you. I'm not sure about CINAHL, but this is where these records come from. And there are additional sources of records that are added as well. So that when we do a search, we are searching across those clinical trials and we're able to find these as a part of this database. It uses the mapping tool that we explored before, and we're able to see some sort of result as we see it here. This search is about hypnosis. You're able to see those entries just there. The reason why this is important is that it is encouraged that you use this database as a part of a search to support a systematic review. So we're able to use this through the Ovid system, through the EBMR database. What happens is that the groups of people who are participating in the Cochrane organization search in Ovid databases or other databases, and they put the clinical trials that they find into the trials database. What happens next is that they analyze the full text of those clinical trials, and they produce the systematic reviews, which are a part of the Cochrane database of systematic reviews. So here again, I can search through this material, and we can see here in this list of limits and filters that we see that these are the steps and stages that a publication goes through. When it is first created, it is a protocol and it is not yet complete. When it is first complete, it's a new review. Then it becomes a full systematic review, and it then will move between these categories, but at some point it may be withdrawn, and it will fall into that withdrawn category. All of these systematic reviews are here from within the Cochrane Library. One of the ways that we can divide up those entries, though, is really to think about the sources of this content and think about the groups that create them. On the screen at the moment, we can see an example of a systematic review. Here it is. So looking at bright light as a treatment for insomnia, and we can open up the full text of that systematic review, and we can see how this is laid out. The outline that we see here is about the planning and the protocol for this systematic review, all the way down to the discussions and the conclusions. In the discussions and conclusions, it tells you about the meaning of this review. We're going to see those conclusions used later when we look at Cochrane clinical answers, because this is the crucial part of the systematic review for that purpose. So for this particular question, this is what it says. Given the current absence of trial evidence in this area, bright light therapy cannot be recommended for the treatment of sleep problems in older adults. So it's telling you it doesn't work. So this is really the answer to a question that we see here. It also follows up by saying that further research should be done and that this is a place that could be helpful. What we see below those conclusions is about what is included in this review, the search that was used to find the materials and the individual clinical trials that were included or excluded. The reason why the Cochrane database of systematic reviews is still important is that it is used in so many other products. It is definitely used as a part of UpToDate. It is used as a source of information for policy across governments and other organizations, so it is still highly relevant. The last part of the EBMR or Cochrane Library that we're going to look at is we're going to look at Cochrane clinical answers. The thing about the Cochrane database of systematic reviews is people see those enormous documents and they find it really difficult to understand. The Cochrane clinical answers are about asking a question and seeing an answer to that question. So if I did a search about hypnosis, we can see the sorts of questions that can be asked about hypnosis, And the very first one here, how does hypnotherapy compare with behavioral treatments for promoting smoking cessation in adults? So what I do is I follow the link and it tells me the answer to that question. The answer to the question is that reviewers found no conclusive evidence from randomized controlled trials that hypnotherapy is more or less effective than behavioral treatments for smoking cessation. Again, it's probably telling you that this is ineffective. And really, the basis for smoking cessation is usually drugs. That's usually the way that people go about dealing with that issue. Again, though, it does allow you to explore the detail of the research that supports that particular question and answer. I'm going to take you, though, the next step. If we look below Cochrane clinical answers, we see the other parts of Cochrane Library, but these are all now closed. Beginning here with the Cochrane Methodology Register, which closed in 2012. This has now been replaced by an open access Cochrane journal, which actually is offered as a part of the Medline database. So you can actually look at the Cochrane Methodology Journal as a part of Medline. So this part has been replaced. These other sections of EBMR were all closed in 2016, and these are no longer funded by the UK NHS, which was the major funder for this part of Cochrane Library. So it doesn't exist anymore. You can't use it, but it is still useful to the extent that you can look at the research before 2016 if you wished to do so. I've almost finished talking to you about the subjects that I had listed on your request. So that was really my task. Again, I can't see the time, so I don't know how much time has elapsed. Yeah, it's okay. See, it's all hidden over by the menu. What I wanted to ask you, though, is do you have any questions or comments or requests that I can help with? I have a request already to send some PowerPoint information, and I will certainly do that when I get back to the office. Any other requests that you would like me to follow?